Advisory Group. Greg, I'd like to start with you to hand it over to you for a welcome.
You're muted, Greg.
God, you missed those brilliant first remarks. So I just want to thank everybody for participating in this critical part of the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. Once again, having conversations with the community, understanding the community needs is key critical to delivering a balanced program and project. So we definitely want to hear people's ideas of how we can make this project fit in the context of community and what the community needs to be whole in this adventure. So thank you for coming. Sorry I couldn't be there in person with you.
Thank you. Commissioner, would you like to share any words of welcome today?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Mengus. I'm one of your commissioners on Portland City Council, also the guy in charge of PBOT. I just want to thank you all for traveling in to beautiful downtown Portland today on a classic Oregon fall day. And I also want to thank everyone who helped pull together today's discussion. I think, well, we all know, at least on the Oregon side of the river, this is one of our biggest infrastructure projects that has ever come along. Probably for Washington State, it's a little bit different, but super significant. And when you just take a look at it at a regional level, this is a once in a generation project. And, you know, I'm deeply committed, as is Mary Ann, to making sure that we get this thing done. But we also want this bridge to really fit both of our communities. And the work and the conversations that we have around this table will make sure that we get that done. So thank you so much for being here, especially in person. We appreciate everyone online too.
Thank you. Next slide. So if you need to access closed captioning, please look at the bottom middle of your screen. You should see a menu of options. If you can't see the menu, hover your mouse over the bottom middle of the screen, then click on the CC icon and a separate window with captions will appear. Next slide. We have closed captioning in both English and Spanish available. Next slide, please. In the effort to continue to center equity, there is an ASL interpreter in addition to closed captioning. To make sure the interpreter is always visible, please right-click their video and select Spotlight Video. For those watching on YouTube, when we screen share, you will be able to see the slideshow, closed captioning, and the ASL interpreter. You will still be able to hear different people, but you may not see them. Next slide. So I'm going to go ahead and at least read out loud the public instruction slides. We'll repeat this when it's time for public input. There will be an opportunity to provide brief public input later in the meeting today around 11:15 a.m. Verbal public comment will be welcome in the Zoom webinar during the designated time with the option to turn on your camera. Please use the link located in the meeting description on the YouTube meeting page or on the IVR CBAG meeting webpage. Commenters will not be allowed to share their screens and will be removed from the room once the public comment period concludes. To comment by phone, you will dial 1-646-931-3860 or 408-638-0968. You'll enter meeting ID number 823-5803-3783, passcode 385-815. You'll dial *9 to raise your hand, and after you're invited to speak, you'll dial *6 to unmute yourself. Our group agreements, we put relationships first. We're going to keep focused on our common goal. Please notice power dynamics in the room and create space for multiple truths and norms. Be kind and brave. We practice examining racially biased systems and processes. This is a learning space for everyone, so please look for opportunities for learning. Our advisory group members who are in the virtual space, we ask you to turn on your cameras when we're sharing this space together. Please take care of your personal needs as they come up. Letting the facilitator know if you need to step away can be helpful. Participate by sharing your response if you're in the online in the chat, by taking written notes, or by raising your hand to speak. We welcome diverse perspectives. It is okay to disagree. We ask you to move up in this space. If you tend to do a lot of talking, please move up your listening. If you tend to do a lot of listening, please move up your talking. We will assume and have good intentions. Our brief reminder about CBAG: if you are approached by the media, please refer them over to our to Kellyanne Amico, our PIO. Next slide. And I do want to pause here for a moment just to do a little bit of housekeeping for folks in the room. You all want to share, there's water, I understand, and a couple of things just to let folks know about the building.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Welcome to the Portland building. There's a water station directly outside this door to the right. The restrooms are just before the elevators on the left. They were being cleaned earlier. So if there's a restroom that's closed, there's more restrooms and an all-user restroom downstairs on the first floor.
Thank you.
Real quickly, also want to acknowledge Eric, who's sitting in for Mary Ann. I don't know if Eric, you want to say a few words on behalf of City of Vancouver.
Sure. It's great to be here. Appreciate City of Portland Commissioner Matz hosting the meeting today, and we remain excited about the possibilities of the project and committed to seeing it through. And I also want to share, just for the benefit of the group, on Monday of this week, the City Council endorsed our Main Street Promise program, which is not only a complete reconstruction of Lower Main Street all the way down to in anticipation of reconnecting with the waterfront there with this project, but it's also a business resilience program to prepare and reinforce our small business community downtown for the years of construction that this project will bring. So we're excited about that.
Next slide. So just briefly, our agenda, we'll go through this brief overview. We will have a program update shared by Administrator Johnson. We have opportunity for any feedback that committee members have on the charter that we shared last month and probably emailed you a million times. And you were like, please stop sending me this charter. We will then use our 5-to-5 decision-making mechanism on the charter as well. And then we'll share just some examples of potential community benefits with the group. We'll then go into some small group discussions so that you all can really have some time to start to dig into the things that are on your mind that we want to be adding to this conversation about community benefits. So we'll have small groups in the virtual space as well as a few for in-person. And then we'll come back and do a large group report out and move on to public comment and then close the meeting by 11:30. Next slide. So introductions, if we could briefly go through our CBAG members, you'll introduce yourself with your name, organizational affiliation, or at-large status, and your pronouns if you choose. And what is one thing that you are looking forward to the most in the next week? And we will start here in the room, and I will start at the end over here with Kelly.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Kelly Haynes. My pronouns are she, her, and I work for Work Systems, the local workforce board that serves Washington and Multnomah counties. And one thing that I'm looking forward to is trick or treating with my kids on Tuesday. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Darcy Hoffman, she, her pronouns. I'm with Workforce Southwest Washington. We are the workforce board that serves Clark, Cowlitz, and Wahkiakum counties in Washington state. One thing I'm looking forward to, we are applying for a grant right now to help us bring a pre-apprenticeship program for adults to Southwest Washington. We don't have anything like that in our region. And so I'm going to be working on that next week.
I'm Ryan Winchhammer. I'm the ODOT Region 1 manager. The thing I'm most excited about is probably my son's soccer game. He's got his last soccer game this weekend.
We're doing staff as well.
We
Okay.
can around the room.
Okay.
Yeah. It feels a little awkward to not.
We don't care what you're doing this week. Like all good stuff, probably working, right?
Caitlin Ruff, PBOT, major projects manager, she, her pronouns. And yeah, looking forward to Halloween with my kids, but we're also having a costume contest at PBOT. So here in the Portland building, 1 p.m. on Halloween. Looking forward to that.
I'm Shane Valley. I'm a senior planner with the Bureau of Transportation, working with Caitlin. I also sit on the IBR Equity Advisory Group. He, him are my pronouns. Caitlin took mine. I'm very excited about that. But something else I'm excited about, working on a piece of music right now, and I'm going to finish it this week, and I'm very excited about that.
Can I change my thing? I want the photos of the
Hi everyone, my name is Eric Trin. I'm working with Shannon and Janelle in the IBR equity team. And the thing that I'm excited about is it started raining. I'm super excited. It's a little odd, but yes. I guess I'm a Portland doing now.
Shannon Singleton, my pronouns are she and her with IBR. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is I've decided to reupholster some things in my house, and I'm not great at it, but I'm almost finished. So I'm looking forward to finishing that project.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aiden Gronauer. He, him, or they, them pronouns, either one work for me. I am the Civil Rights Manager for the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program, and I am also looking forward to Halloween this year. So just seeing all the different outfits that folks have.
And good morning, everyone. John L. Bell, he, him pronouns. I serve as the Principal Equity Officer for IBR, and I'm looking forward to resting this weekend. So absolutely doing nothing. So sounds great.
Hi, everybody. Magnus Maps, Portland City Council, he, him. And I am looking forward to a new clothes washer being delivered to my house. Literally happening at this very moment, which will solve a huge problem that has been kind of shaping my life for about 2 weeks. So,
Such an adult thing to say.
do my best.
Hello, everyone. Young Park with the IBR program on government relations, he, him pronouns. And the thing I'm looking forward to most is the final day of pickleball league, where I'm literally fighting not to be last place.
Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Paris Moore, she, her pronouns. I work at Espousal, but on the IBR project, I help with the equity and CE team. I'm looking forward to just going to Florida this weekend and kind of just relaxing, honestly. So.
Hi, everybody. Cynthia Castro, pronouns are she, her. I'm Commissioner Mapps's Deputy Chief of Staff and liaison to PBOT. And the thing I'm looking forward to is while I live in Portland Timbers country, I'm from Washington, and my nephew plays for the Seattle Sounders, and they have a playoff game on Monday. So I'm hoping to go to Lemon Field to watch that. So.
I'm Corky Collier with Columbia Corridor Association, and I noticed this morning the laundry hamper was overflowing. I couldn't get stuff into it. It's piled up so high. So I'm looking forward this weekend to bringing laundry over to Mingus's house.
That's not the new one.
You are more than welcome. It's got the biggest one I could.
Commercial grade.
Yeah, I got a 13-year-old and 14-year-old boy. So you imagine what my house is like.
Yeah. Holly Williams, City of Vancouver resident, she, her, and I'm looking forward to teaching origami tonight at Burnbridge Cellars, an urban winery locally owned in downtown Vancouver. And I do that every month and it's always a lot of fun. So if you have nothing better to do, you can join us.
Eric Holmes, and this week, our youngest child called and in a mild panic that their vehicle broke down and they need. So what I'm looking forward to is that gives my wife an excuse to go with their college and help them out and see them without being just the fawning parents. So go Gooey Ducks, they go to Evergreen State.
Oh, great.
Hi, Catherine Kelly with City of Vancouver. I'm a policy advisor and I use she, her pronouns. I am looking forward to the Thorns playoffs. Go Thorns. Yes.
We'll move over to the virtual space. I see Jasmine, then Carly.
Yeah, hi everyone, Jasmine Tolbert, she, her pronouns. I represent the Southwest Washington Equity Coalition as a board member here. Something I'm looking forward to this weekend, I moved back in January and last weekend I unpacked one of our final rooms. And so this weekend it's unpacked, but really organizing one final room. So very excited about that.
I've been in my house for like 7 years. I think we're still organizing stuff. So good morning. I'm Carly Francis. I am the Southwest Region Administrator for Washington State DOT. I use she, her pronouns. And I am going on vacation with my husband to Mexico to a yoga retreat. So I'm excited about that. That's gonna be all next week. So he's the yoga guy. I'm just gonna do my best, but it's gonna be awesome.
Thank you. Michael, then Peter.
Hi, everyone. Michael Strauss. I'm with a large retail REIT called Kimco Realty. We're the owners of the Jansen Beach Center, and I'm thinking of representing the large and small businesses on Hayden Island, those in our shopping center and beyond. And as for what I'm looking forward to, I tend to be food motivated. So I'm looking forward to lunch today, dinner tonight, breakfast tomorrow, lunch tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you. Peter.
Hi, this is Peter Fells. I'm a Vancouver resident. I think I'm an at-large member. I'm just looking forward to, I have a daughter visiting from Brooklyn who I don't get to see very often, and I'm looking forward to spending time with her this weekend.
Thank you. Scott and then Ben.
Good morning, everyone. Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott McCollum. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the superintendent of the Washington State School for the Blind. And this weekend, I get to spend the weekend with the membership of the Washington Council of the Blind. And it's at their annual convention. I love going to that. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Ben Jacobson. I'm representing Jane's Forum. My mother, Jane Jacobson, started Confluence Project and we have several different sites throughout the Pacific Northwest. I'm looking forward tomorrow to going to a Confluence Project board meeting at Cape Disappointment, which is going to be great. And I'm also the founder of Jacobson Salt. So appreciate food and appreciate you all being here. And thanks for letting me be a part.
Right, Farley and then Scott S.
Hi, everybody. I'm Farley Winters. I use she, her pronouns. I am an architect at LSW Architects here in downtown Vancouver. And I'm looking forward to going to the farmer's market this weekend and making some soup with my findings.
Hello all, my name is Scott Sharba, use he, him pronouns. I am the development project manager at the Vancouver Housing Authority. I am looking forward to throwing a Halloween party at my home this Saturday.
Thank you. And did I miss any other members? Greg?
So good morning, everybody. Once again, I'm Greg Johnson, Program Administrator, and I am looking forward this weekend to actually doing some painting at my house. So a lot of people don't like to paint, but I find it therapeutic. So I will be painting walls.
Thank you. Any other CBAG members that I missed online? All right, let's go to the next slide, please. So we want to take just a moment and open up space if there's any feedback about the charter from any of our CBAG members. Great, seeing none. Can you go to the next slide, please? So we want to use this as an opportunity to just practice our modified consensus. It's not a decision-making model that people use all the time. And so if our CBAG members, whether you are in person, we ask you to hold up your hand. Our 5 is a love it. This is our no way, and all the ranges in between. And then our folks in the virtual space, you can either raise your hand and do that or drop it in the chat what your number is if you're unable to come on camera. So the question at hand, or the decision at hand, is that we support the charter for the CBAG. So if our members can go ahead and vote where you're at on that. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you all.
This group learns fast. It would have took me forever.
Two hands,
Yeah,
thumbs up and down. Thank you so much. All right, next slide, please. All right, so we will hand it over to Greg to give us an update on the IBR program.
All right, thank you, Shannon. So as you know, the program is busily doing numerous things to move this project forward into construction. So one of the key things that we do is do program tours where we offer members of the public, different groups to come and actually physically see the program area or get on to the bridge and feel what a 107-year-old bridge feels and looks like. So we are, or 106-year-old, I'm giving it a little more age than it actually is. So we recently had the Washington Transportation Commission, the Washington Legislature, their Joint Transportation Committee, and there was a convention of the Oregon and Washington State public transportation officials that were having their meeting in downtown Vancouver. So we invited them to come out onto the bridge to understand what we are trying to get accomplished here. And the program tours are important for folks to get context and to understand the challenges of trying to fit a new piece of infrastructure into an existing corridor that's been here for over 100 years. So we also, Congresswoman Glusenkamp Perez hosted a roundtable with the Mitch Landrieu from the White House Office of Infrastructure was in town, and we had a great conversation about infrastructure in general. But one of the highlights was what's going on with the bridge and how we can make that bridge a reality. So he's well keyed into the needs that we have. So it's been tremendously important that folks back in Washington, D.C. know how important this bridge is and understand that we have a lot of support, overwhelming support to get this thing done this go round. So after that, we give presentations. Once again, that's another important aspect of what we do to keep everybody informed of what's going on, what this project is and what it is not. So you can see some of the groups that we've talked to. That list is actually much longer. We are now into the realm of where we've had over 40,000 touches and engagements with folks on this project. And that's one of the strong suits of our program is our community outreach. So next slide, please. So the process that we are currently in now is called a supplemental environmental impact statement. And it is a supplemental because we are building on past work that was done previously. We recognize there were changes from when the Columbia River Crossing project went away 10 years ago. So we recognize those changes. We have looked at all of the documents that they had put forward, and we are now in this draft supplemental environmental impact statement process. So it was first done back in 2008 with the previous project. This project received what is the final step in the federal process, which is a record of decision. They received that in 2011. They did 2 reevaluations, and then the project went away. So we are building upon that knowledge base and that legacy to make sure that we are talking to the community. The community understands what has changed from then to now. So once again, this supplemental environmental impact statement process focuses analysis on components that have changed since the prior planning efforts. So we are evaluating 2 alternatives. We are evaluating a no-build alternative and also the modified locally preferred alternative, which was approved by the 10 partner agencies, the transportation partners for this project. So right now, design is still considered conceptual. We have we're probably 10 to 12% design, but once again, we're putting out and trying to understand the general alignment of what we are going to build. Once again, this is a 5-mile corridor. We're looking at what the locations of transportation facilities would be, such as light rail stations, interchanges, and how those interchanges will change and what space they will occupy. We're also looking at the impacts and the benefits to folks who live or own a business or who drive through the corridor. So this is a mix of quantitative and qualitative analysis that we are in an iterative process with our federal partners. We're also looking at mitigation. So we know that we are going to have some unavoidable impacts. So we're looking at how do we mitigate for that. So this team, this Community Benefits Advisory Group, will help us walk through some of the potential mitigations that the community will want and need to see as we are moving this forward. So next slide, please. So this is the all-important program schedule slide. You can see that we are in the green environmental, but there are a number of other things going on concurrently. Once again, design is still happening. We are looking at funding and grant applications. We've submitted 1 mega grant application. We are in the process of submitting for the Big Bridge grant, which that's due at the end of November. And the community engagement is an ongoing thing. Permitting is also ongoing. So you will see us doing just numerous things. So this project has just more moving parts than folks would care to know. But the key is that we are steaming towards meeting a in-water work period in the fall of 2026. So that means we have to have a contractor on board. We have to have a federal record of decision. And that contractor has to be ready to start building work platforms and everything else during this in-water work period. So that's our hard wall that we are going to be running up against. If we don't hit that, then we will lose a year of construction. And as I try and constantly remind folks, losing a year now out in 2034, 2035, as we're looking to wrap that up, will mean an additional 300 million in escalation and inflationary costs. So with that, I think that's my last slide. I will take any questions that this group has.
Eric and then commissioners, could you?
Yeah, right there. Not a question, you're just channeling my Mayor Ann. She actually had an opportunity to meet with Secretary Buttigieg last week, and of course shared the enthusiasm of the region for the project. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't share that she had actually baked a huckleberry pie with a interstate bridge designed crust.
Oh my gosh.
It was originally intended for the secretary, was unable to deliver it to him for a variety of protocol reasons, but then delivered it to Marie Glusenkamp Perez, where she also carried the message from our region about our enthusiasm and alignment on the bridge. So.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that pie, and it is actually
it's impressive,
a
wasn't it?
huckleberry pie.
Yeah.
So, and I guess I did have one more slide that I neglected to cover. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So once again, we are studying the modified locally preferred alternative and a no-build alternative to understand that the effects and impacts on the natural and the built environment. So the results of that will be what we publish in this draft supplemental environmental impact statement in the first quarter of 2024. So that's when we will have a 60-day public comment period. So no decisions or changes will be made until all the information is disclosed publicly and the community has input and feedback. And the program is obligated to answer any and every comment that comes in. So we're going to be beating the drum to get as many folks commenting on this as possible. So we are once again looking at publishing that final supplemental and amended record of decision in late 2024, early 2025. And that is the final step in the federal environmental process that says that we have a job that is worthy of federal funding. So this is a complex process. We don't own the process. It is a federal process, but we are the implementers of that process. So it is, once again, one of the many moving pieces that we currently have going on. So that is my last slide. So thanks, everybody. And if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Greg, I have one. Could you give me a better sense of the contents of the supplemental environmental impact statement? So for example, will that document give us a sense of the issues that are likely to come up as we build the bridge, or is it going to kind of contrast our current moment to the moment when the bridge is actually up and built? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there are actually 6 chapters to the bridge, and it looks at the impacts on whether it's endangered species, whether it's the impacts to businesses in the area that may have to be relocated or bought by the program. It looks at how the bridge fits into the context of the area. It looks at traffic, both current and projected. So there are a number of elements, and in a future meeting, we can have our experts on the environmental process come and lay out those 6 chapters that will compromise the draft supplemental. But it is it's a straightforward document, but it is also a very complex document. So
I know at least I would be interested in at some point probably having a presentation and engagement with the contents of the environmental impact statement. I guess one of the things I'm trying to figure out is our mission here to mitigate the issues that we see come up through the supplemental environmental impact statement, or will this environmental impact statement not really get into the dust and the noise and the other issues that I know that we care about?
So it will. We're going to probably dig a little deeper on numerous issues. We're going to once again talk about workforce.
Yeah.
While that will be touched upon in the draft supplemental, that will not get the full coverage and the depth that we will be digging into. We're also going to be talking about the noise, air quality during construction. So that will be covered in the document. But once again, we're going to try and do a deep dive into what folks can expect during 8 to 10 years of construction and how we mitigate that. So all of those things are going to be touched upon, but we may be doing a deeper dive to understand the mitigations, and some of the mitigations that we arrive at that are suggested by this group, that's approved by the executive steering group. Those things will find its way into that final record of decision, that final supplemental document.
Thank you very much.
And we got Holly over here.
Hey, Holly.
I was just a 5.
Holly's fired up on that census spot up here. It's like, yeah.
Building on that momentum, there's a multi-layered, multifaceted engagement apparatus that the IBR has put together that includes not only this group, but many, many others. If there is a walkthrough briefing of the structure and content of the draft EIS, it may be worth timing that as early as possible in the release comment period and having a single kind of congress of engagement structures so everyone hears it at the same time and everyone can connect with their constituencies about getting that, because 60 days is tight. I know it's federally mandated, but it's tight. And so the earlier we can activate the engagement apparatus with informed approach to that would be great.
Absolutely. And I will just add, there is, in addition to the advisory bodies, the CBO mini grants that I think we mentioned last month, and those similar kinds of briefings happening with community members more directly and with some of our culturally specific community-based organizations, so that there is that kind of even larger than just the advisory group apparatus. I see Nate.
Yes, thank you, Shannon. Greg, kind of to piggyback on that question about some of the details in the supplemental EIS, are we at the appropriate stage for contractors interested in this project to understand how we're right-sizing the design so that there's actually broken up? Because I think with an EIS process, they're going to hold you to the design you submit. And so I'm wondering what I guess assurance do we have that you guys are recommending design that can be broken up so that smaller companies can participate on this big project?
Nate, it's a great question. What we're doing, and we're hoping to have both the consultant industry as well as the contracting industry come in sometime in December, January timeframe. Our team will have put together a suggested way to build this project. So we will show to the industries what we anticipate for different package sizes as well as delivery methods to get this thing done. So that when we present that, that will not be the final. because we will be taking comments from contractors and design consultants and see if they have some better ideas. But we know that we are looking to break this into more than 20 different contracts. This will not be one large contract. So that we have a team that is working on that issue. And once again, a very impressive team of ex-contractors that are walking us through what they think some of the best ideas and the best ways to maximize competition to get this thing done while recognizing the need to be engaging local contractors, small businesses, DBEs in this process.
And maybe to build upon that, as Greg indicated, the program is holding a contractor meet and greet. I think you should be aware of that. November 8th from 4 to 7. And one of the prompts we'll be asking the contractor community is what best practices from their perspective have worked in order to ensure great small business and DB participation. So our procurement team is seeking that information at this stage, and that's going to be an important opportunity.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks, Greg.
That's a great catch, John L. That is, we've had one DBE meet and greet in our office. This is going to be the second in a series of continuing conversations to make sure that DBE's small businesses' voices are heard and reflected in how this program rolls out.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to move us into the next section. We're running a little behind schedule. We're just going to briefly go through some examples of potential community benefits in some different categories so that our advisory group members can kind of see and just to spark your thinking around what might be additional benefits that we want to consider. I think, as always, and everyone knows, but it's worth saying, it's not going to be that we can do everything that we think is a viable and important community benefit. So as we go through this process, we'll be doing some of the ground truthing to look at costing, what is really feasible, and having that iterative kind of conversation with you all. But again, today wanted to just start with providing some examples of things that folks working on the program had thought about as potential benefits, just to spark some conversation. So we'll go through these slides quickly, and then we have some handouts for you so you can always refer back to them for our small group discussion. And similarly, our folks online, you have the handouts getting sent to you. Right now, you also have facilitators in the room who can screen share if that's helpful in our virtual space as well. So next slide, please. So just a couple of examples. These are elements that are included in program investments. So wanted to just kind of have we don't need to spend a ton of time on something like this. So things like our ADA standards to temporary and new pedestrian ramps, wayfinding signs, those sorts of pieces around mobility and accessibility. When we're looking at avoiding further harm, some examples are performing construction noise analysis in the program area, air quality analysis, and then looking at impacts to private properties of all people, and additionally making sure we're attending to those who have historically been underserved. Next slide. So some others for consideration with mobility and accessibility, repairing or resurfacing portions of local network, particularly damaged by IBR construction, the connection to transit service improvements. In avoiding further harm, we're looking at consider monitoring noise, vibration, and air quality, consider mitigating the impacts to homes by noise and dust levels, coordinate with the contractor to mitigate dirt, mud, or et cetera from leaving the job site area, and of course, broadly looking at mitigating impacts caused by construction. Next slide, please. When we think about physical design, some additional examples might be creating a welcome center or port of entry facility combined with ODOT that might look at curated display of history of the region, approved cultural materials, photo documentation of the current existing bridge, potentially salvage plaques from existing bridge, Looking at incorporating the history and culture into the design of the modified LPA. So accounting for the history in the program area, historical impacts to tribal governments and our BIPOC communities, and really various cultural perspectives and uses of the bridge today and into the future. So thinking about that culture piece as well. Next slide. Some other potential examples are looking at design, the active transportation facilities. What about bicycle amenities, repair kiosks, or something of that nature could be a community benefit. Additionally, riverfront access points that came up at a neighborhood association meeting with Hayden Island. That may be something that we want to consider. What are open spaces or canoe and kayak landing areas accessible on both sides of the river? So again, another type of benefit that we can really start to look at. Next slide. And then additionally, in the avoiding further harm category, what is the impact on local small businesses and what can we do to support them during construction? Can the project buy local, marketing signage, ensuring access to the businesses? What is our dashboard showing results for actions to mitigate? How are we sharing that information back out publicly? Do we have electric charging stations that our contractor installs, looking at low or no emission vehicles? What are the requirements around reducing greenhouse gases and carbon footprint during construction? Portable speed monitoring signs in adjacent neighborhoods and streets. And additionally, temporary speed bumps or speed tables to establish in our key locations to prevent speeding on the adjacent streets during construction. So we wanted to share really to show it's this wide breadth, right? There's the mitigation that I think Greg's addressed a number of times, and then there's things that we might think more of on the arts, culture, history, aesthetics sort of things. And so wanted to just spark this for you all to have some ideas that we'll move into small groups and talk more about. But I want to pause there and see if anyone has any questions before we do that. Eric.
So how many of these examples, recognizing you're trying to capture a full breadth, how many of these are mandated of the project regardless?
So there are pieces in mitigation that were on that front end of the ones that are currently included in investments. Some of those are mandates, some of them are not. I think Greg has very well said, are there things we want to do on mitigation above and beyond? I think we'll see more in the draft SEIS around what is required and what those mitigations will look like. But some of that are things that we'll kind of see as the draft gets released and we're able to talk more publicly about those pieces.
So one of the things, Eric, to your question, and like I said, I am a DOT guy through and through, but sometimes DOTs are not proactive on some of these issues of mitigation, and they will wait until a harm or damage is done and then, go in and retroactively address the issue. What we're looking at is trying to set up a proactive approach to preventing these things from happening and not having to come back on the back end to fix them. So leaning into some of these issues, the DOTs are responsible for noise and dust, but you can do things either proactively or retroactively, and we want to be proactive in this space.
And things like ADA accessibility and standards, or repairing things damaged by the project. Again, I'm building on Commissioner Mapp's earlier question about what's the product that this group's work is intended to deliver, and do we want to focus our efforts, or do we need to focus our efforts on assuring compliance with what is already required, either through NEPA conditions approval or baseline mitigation, or do we need to focus our efforts on that margin of benefit that maybe is outside of that? Or is it both?
Well,
I think it's both.
Greg, I was just going to say, I think it's both. And I guess what I was going to say, I think it's important for us as a group to be able to show the community, how the project's being responsive, right? Things that the project is doing to accommodate things. They may not know that the project's required to to do ADA or to do these other things, but to understand that the project is more than just a bridge across, but it's also providing these other things, whether they're mitigation or they're separate. To me, I think we want to be able to demonstrate both, right? And that way the community can see not only are they getting the bridge, but they're getting these other things. Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No,
That was Ryan. I just want to, sorry, Greg, just quickly, if we can try to remember, say our names in the room because they can't see all the time who's speaking. Thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
Apologize, Greg Johnson. So I think that that you're right. This is a both and situation. So we can identify these things, but there are some ADA things that provide connectivity to this program, to this project, that we may want to look at to make sure that we have regional connectivity from an ADA standpoint. And some of those things may be identified and they may be out of the scope of our project, but we can point those up to other entities that can help and make those commitments for regional connectivity that the program may not be able to address. So once again, being proactive, I think, is the key.
Thank you. So I do want to give you all as much time as possible in the small groups. So I'm going to suggest we move into small groups. I will rotate through virtual and in-person groups. Jonelle will take one group in the room, and with Jonelle will be Commissioner, Darcy, and Corky. Aiden will take a group, and that will be Holly, Eric, Kelly, and Ryan. And then our virtual folks, I am going to go ahead, I put you into breakout rooms. I'm going to go ahead and open those rooms so you can move into them. One room will have Jake facilitating and the other will have Emily.
Just a quick note, you should receive the handout that emailed to you by now so that you have it for discussion.
Thank you all. We'll do about 25 minutes.
Okay, let's get in our groups, everybody.
Physically,
I'm here with you, so we're in this room. So.
Hi, Xander. This is Jenna, one of the interpreters. Just a quick accessibility check. Can you hear me? I don't seem to be able to message you. I just wanted to see if anybody identified as needing an interpreter and if we needed to be in any of the breakout rooms.
I am unsure. Let me follow back up with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have the breakout rooms been created yet?
Yes, they have. Sorry, who was that just
This is Janie Haygood.
Janie? Okay, 1 second, we'll get you in a room.
Thank you.
Hi, just following up, no one needs interpretation in the rooms.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll just stand by until we return. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thanks.
lot of fun.
It was awesome. I really was like,
I agree.
I don't want to break up the small groups.
Right.
Everyone's still
I don't
talking.
Yeah.
It's probably like.
A lot of good stuff.
So here come our virtual colleagues. Welcome back. We've got a few more folks just coming back from the virtual breakout rooms. Eric, you can pull down that slide. We'll do a quick large group report out. Okay, I think we've got everyone back. So I do want to open some space for just some kind of share back with the large group, some of your discussion. I think if members are thinking about what was something you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to in your small group, or something that was a key takeaway for you. Being that I was in every group, I will call on people if folks aren't volunteering.
I liked how our small group functioned. There's a lot of things. It's like, it's not just what you do, but it's how you do it. And how, and sort of doing it right. And there, some of it's really low hanging fruit. And so I think that identifying it and making sure that we're crediting ourselves with tackling it and that we're doing it in a best practice way. I'm feeling good. Based on what I heard.
Building on what Ryan said, a theme that was throughout our conversation was the role of storytelling leading up to the project, during the project, and using that through the project, and then after the project, the role that it can play itself in a perpetual kind of narrative about the region. But using a variety of tools, technology, bringing folks from elsewhere on the planet because it's a big, significant, complex project. But doing it as a way to engage people, continue to inform, enroll them in the project success, and using an intentional arc and a variety of platforms to have that project delivery element really be a way to connect with and stay connected with the community throughout.
Thank you. Anything from your group, Commissioner?
Well, we had a rich conversation. Are we going to do a full debrief on the groups, or are we just doing some
highlights,
high levels?
Yep.
We had a really rich conversation which touched on everything from the need for workforce preparation to actually the aesthetics and design of the bridge. I hadn't really, it was pointed out that, the bridge is going to be very tall. So from a pedestrian point of view or a bicyclist point of view, that's something which maybe we're still coming to terms with. We heard a great idea of maybe there being an opportunity to kind of pause mid-span to appreciate both the height and whatnot. I think we also talked about some cultural issues as we think about implementing delivering community benefits. This is going to be a big intrusive project, just no matter what we do. So people will be impacted and inconvenienced by it, and which over the course of the decades, that's a long time. We should recognize that. At the same time, I hope we can establish a culture where we are responsive over that full decade, where people feel like even if they are inconvenienced, at least we hear those concerns and respond to them, as opposed to this bridge being something that is done to them day after day for 3,000 days.
That came up in our group as well, just the idea that, and things like, well, what projects that are going on in Vancouver right now, there's this idea that people are parking, maybe construction vehicles parking in places they shouldn't be. Over 10 years on a mega project like this, that could be a pretty significant thing. And how do you address that? One, we can plan for that and make sure that we're doing everything we can do to not have that happen. But how about a phone line that people can call? What about, and phones are, maybe that's more my generation.
Yeah.
Maybe have a web page.
It's okay, we're actually on chat.
Maybe a web page with a chat but also metrics for how we're responding to those things, those types of things. So again, really good conversation, similar.
Absolutely. Maybe if I could build off of that, one other, one question is which came up, which is how do we deliver these community benefits? Is this sort of a set of values that we infuse through all 20 of these contracts, or do we have a central office that is charged with delivering these community benefits? These are all important questions. I see our colleagues online has.
Yes, I want to move to online. Carly and then Greg.
I would just note, others in our group highlighted houselessness as a point of concern about how to navigate population in the right of way, how to do that appropriately and effectively. So it may be something to bring some information back to the group on, but it's something I didn't see in the comments yet. And I guess on the note of tools to get information out to people, I keep wondering whether or not QR codes in strategic locations and short videos for getting information out might be a tool. So that's just my own little side note item. Thanks.
Thanks, Carly. Greg.
So our group had a robust conversation. One of the key elements was don't get lost in that the main benefit is a replacement of the bridge, but that doesn't restrict us from looking at, other benefits. So we looked at economic benefit of participating in the construction of the bridge, make sure that that is done in a robust and fair way. Be prepared to address gentrification and the development opportunities that may arise from properties that are left over. Viewshed concerns, and that led into a discussion of not only views from the bridge, but also emphasizing views of the bridge. Make this an iconic tourism drawing element. We talked about the materials that go into the bridge. Can we utilize things such as ash from Mount St. Helens? Can we use crushed oyster shells that are currently a waste material from the fishing industry? So something that reflects the values and history of this region. So let me try and pick out a couple other things. Talked about a potential training center in the region or in the area to address workforce shortages. The natural features should not be ignored, that we should lean into the beauty of this area and how this bridge can help accent and give better views and understanding of this. So that was a quick overview from our group.
Thank you. Anyone else online want to share any kind of high level highlights for you, things you want to make sure other folks in this room hear, or anything you wished you had said that you just didn't get time to say? All right, I know Nate's nervous because I always call on him.
You know me, Shannon. You could tell I didn't want to steal the thunder for Greg, but I do want to underscore the need for this workforce and business related training center. What we did discuss is how connected it is to not just ODOT, WashDOT, but to Mingus Maps office with PBOT, with TriMet, with Metro. When we know we have a huge workforce shortage, we got to get smart with how we address many issues, which start with economics to reverse this homelessness, the housing needs, and part of it was coupling some of those sites that will be acquired with workforce housing. We master that in the region. We're going to master how you really uplift economic development in an overtaxed city in a hugely under-resourced, high-paying job industry. We need to make sure we're getting architects, engineers, contractors of the future vested in this project and many others coming. So to me, this is going to be a test for all of us to figure out how we put our resources where our mouth is.
Thank you. Anyone else want to Share back. Carly.
Just have one other thing that came up in our group, which is a good kind of, to me, an experiential consideration of having people kind of walk or ride or, attempt to traverse, which is hard in advance, but this idea of like ground truthing the experience of moving through the corridor. Peter raised it for cyclists. School for the Blind was flagging that for blind members of the community, so that how there may be ways to create that experience, to test it before it's actually on the ground and implemented and has some problem in it.
Just Eric, almost building on what Carly just said, part of our group talked about always keeping in mind, despite Greg's DOT guy through and through, this is being built for people. People are driving cars, people are moving freight, but it's really about people. And so how do we have the investment be one that really accommodates the people of the region? And then one that just occurred to me as I was listening is, we really want to make this a mobility platform, right? That will serve us for the next century and beyond. And what's the proactive plan for operations of it? Not just from a traffic operations, but if I think about, want it to be safe and welcoming and accessible for all modes. Is there a role for a next generation bridge tender that isn't focused on lifting the bridge, but rather assuring that it is safe for all users and providing, that's a long span to have no one keeping an eye on it except the users, right? So is there an approach to staffing it in a way that keeps it a safe, welcoming, high functioning environment?
Thank you. All right, well, I will do a quick check. Xander, do we have any public comment signed up for today?
Not at this time.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So what's coming up next for this group? Go ahead, next slide. So just kind of revisiting a bit of the work plan. So the work that you all did today, we'll spend some time in the background cleaning this, putting these together. Your November meeting, we're going to focus on doing some visioning. What do we think this looks like when this bridge is built? And really have that anchoring for us. Quite frankly, also giving us staff some time to do the work behind the scenes of all that you brought up today. And then in December, we'll come back to some of the pieces you raised today. With some more detail on those items, making sure that we're showing clearly what was in or could be in the SEIS. So the things that are required mitigations, we've heard that loud and clear, and then what might be some of the above and beyond, so that we can really then move to some recommendations for a first group, a first chunk of recommendations. It won't be your one and only in January, and getting some decision points there. That timeline aligns with, if folks remember, we've talked about our benefits will not be a CBA. The benefits for this program will be in contract specifications, environmental documents, maybe in the RFP. So some different places that they will be held. And so we have a timeline for things for environmental documents that line up with the draft SEIS and the public comment period. So that's why you see this first decision-making point, to make sure we line up with those timelines. And then we'll be able to take a step back and start to go through some of the other that we have more time on. So we'll spend time really focused on mobility and accessibility, time really focused on community benefits, and avoid further harm in all of those 5 equity objectives. So we'll keep doing these small group conversations. That's the plan. And we'll be able to share more in the coming months and get so that you can see how each of these will be landed and what kind of some of the work is that we're doing behind the scenes to get these recommendations to a point that you can actually make thoughtful decisions on them. Next slide, please. So we do have our community advisory group on November 9th and our equity advisory group on November 20th. We did present to those two groups in their October meetings to share about this group so they are aware. We're working with them to get a member from both EAG. We've got a couple of folks who I know are currently on CAG, so we're working through who will represent both and make sure they have that feedback loop to the other advisory bodies. But also you're welcome to view or participate, view or do public comment in those meetings as well. Our next meeting, we did move up because of Thanksgiving holiday. So we will be November 16th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. That meeting, we're rotating. So we will be over back in Vancouver for our November meeting at the IBR office, I believe. So we will get all that information out to you all for those who want to join in person. Next slide. And just to check in, Xander, we're still no public comment?
Still no public comment.
Okay, I'm going to read through the slides real quick just in case. Go ahead, next slide. So if you do want to make a public comment, you can dial 1-646-931-3860 or 1-408-638-0968. Our meeting ID is 823-5803-3783. Passcode 385815. Star 9 to raise your hand. The facilitator will call on participants to provide comment, and then you would dial star 6 to unmute yourself. We'd ask you to provide your name and affiliation. We have a 10-minute time frame, so we would only be able to accommodate a number of speakers that could fit in that time. But if we do run out of time and you don't have a chance to speak, you can still provide public comment after the meeting. Next slide. To submit comments after the meeting, please fill out the comment form on the program website or email your comments to info@interstatebridge.org with CBAG Public Comment in the subject line. You can call 360-859-0494 in Washington or 503-897-9218 in Oregon, or our toll-free number 888-503-6735, our toll-free number, and state CBAG Public Comment in your message. Written comments need to explicitly say CBAG Public Comment in the subject line or body of your message for them to be identified and distributed to members. All written comments received prior to 48 hours in advance of upcoming meetings will be distributed to the advisory group members. We did have one public comment that we shared out with you all yesterday. Next slide. Any final thoughts? Administrator Johnson, we'll start with you.
Well, I enjoyed the breakout groups. I thought there was a great deal of energy and enthusiasm. So I think as we move forward, that's going to be a key driver to putting ideas on the table. So that was, I thought, a fantastic aspect of today's meeting.
Thank you.
And I'll just jump in again. I want to thank everyone who helped pull together today's meeting. Really rich conversation from my point of view. As always, I really want to express my appreciation to Vancouver. They've been amazing partners here. Very much looking forward to getting back across the river and seeing and meeting with Mary Ann and the rest of you at our next session.
Thank you. Eric, any?
Likewise, thank you to Portland for hosting today. And it's every time we get together, it builds confidence and momentum that this is going to happen.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And with no public comment, it means we're ending just a little bit early. So appreciate everybody's time, and we'll go ahead and wrap the meeting for today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great job, Sean.
Thanks, everyone. Great job.